An eye-opening new poll in Ohio has President Obama a full 10 points ahead of Mitt Romney in Ohio, 53% to 43%. That isn't quite that big in the latest CNN poll of polls, which averages 4 recent polls in Ohio. Doing it this way, the president is 7 points ahead, 51 to 44%. And there's a very telling number in the new Quinnipiac CBS New York Times poll. 51% say President Obama would do a better job of handling the economy. Only 45% say Romney. For some insight on what's going on and whether Romney can turn things around, we're joined by Ohio's former governor, Ted Strickland, and Ken Blackwell, a Republican who used to be Ohio's Secretary of State. And thanks to you both for coming in. Ken, I want to start out by quoting our own Peter Hamby, who interviewed a lot of Ohio Republicans today. And there's a quote in here from Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine, who used to be a member of the Senate. The question, of course, is why isn't Romney connecting? Generally, when you talk to people, there's a feeling that Obama hasn't done that great a job, but Romney hasn't made the sale. He still can, but he hasn't made the sale yet. What has he got to do to make the sale?
Well, he has to show how he has a plan that will put more Ohioans back to work, attract more capital investment, drop utility prices by exploiting a natural resource in Ohio, and that's coal, as well as natural gas. But more importantly, what he's trying to overcome now was a strategy that was used by us in 2004. And that was that we decided to spend a lot of money defining carry in June and July and August, and it made it very difficult for him in September and October. That's what Team Obama has done. They've defined Mitt Romney, and they've raised the bar on him in terms of defining himself. If this is a choice election, Mitt Romney has to define the choice.
Ted Strickland, do you buy this idea that President Obama hasn't done that good a job? And if so, what do you account for with this, by some poll estimates, 10-point lead?
Well, I think he's done a good job, especially as far as Ohio is concerned. I think Ohio's economy is improving. People feel that, they recognize that. And it's due, I believe, in large part, to the Recovery Act, which enabled Ohio not to fall ever deeper into a deep depression. And then the auto industry is a big deal in Ohio. We believe 1 out of every 8 jobs is related to the auto industry in Ohio. The president took action in the face of criticism. He took courageous action. He saved that industry. And if there's one issue that I think is paramount in Ohio in helping Ohioans decide who they're going to vote for, one single issue, I think the auto industry and the saving of the auto industry would be at the top of that list.
Ken Blackwell, do you buy that? There's been so much said about the auto industry. Does it apply in Ohio the way it applies in Michigan? And is there any way Mitt Romney can get out from under that?
Oh, yes, yes, there is. Look, Governor Strickland knows that they could have done this a much cheaper way and saved the same number of jobs through structured bankruptcy. Many of America's businesses have done this. They've preserved jobs, and they've moved forward in a much more efficient manner. We know from Ohio that Honda, the largest auto industry manufacturer, is a non-union shop. So the reality is that there has been as much done by Governor Kasich in creating a friendly tax environment, a friendly investment environment, cut regulations that has helped to make businesses grow and employment drop. Unemployment drop in Ohio. So, look, there's going to be an arm wrestling contest over who should claim credit. I think that's just going to mean that other issues will creep into the equation. And I think the president has made a fundamental mistake in taking on the Catholic Church and religious liberty across a lot of faith groups in the state.
Now, Governor Strickland, you know what it's like to go down to defeat in Ohio. It, of course, happened to you in 2010 with John Kasich. What kinds of messages and lessons do you think the Obama campaign needs in order to win in the Buckeye State?
Well, I think people trust President Barack Obama. I don't think they trust Mitt Romney. I mean, this is a guy who had a Swiss bank account, investments in the Cayman Islands, said he enjoyed firing people, talked about his wife's 2 Cadillacs. And then we saw this videotape where he really talks in the most disparaging way about 47% of Americans, and many of them are veterans and retired folks and poor people who are working really hard but not making enough money to pay federal income tax. He pays 14.1% in his taxes. The average Ohioan pays over 20% in their taxes. He still refuses to release his tax returns. All of these things in combination, I believe, have created an accurate picture of Mitt Romney in the minds of Ohioans and Americans. And I think that's why he's not doing so well. And I don't think he's going to be able to turn this around in the next 40 or so days.
So the president doesn't...
On that, we disagree. This president is sitting now on top of a $16 trillion debt, which is a triple-headed monster. It is a moral crisis because of the intergenerational theft that's taking place from our kids and our grandkids. It's an economic crisis because of the anemic economic growth. Last month, we only created 96,000 jobs when we need to create 225,000 just to stay afloat. And it's a national security crisis on top of other national security crises because here China holds the largest portion of our debt in foreign hands, and we know that they don't agree with us on human rights or basic freedom. And we also know that their motto is a motto that has run God and faith out of the public square.
Ted Strickland, you sound like you sound like the Obama campaign can just sort of coast. You don't think there's anything they need to do that they're not doing?
Oh, they're doing everything. I mean, the president is here, the vice president is here. We're working every day, taking our message to Ohioans. Ken complains about 96,000 jobs being created last month. I just remind him that in the month that President Obama became president, this country had lost about 750,000 jobs. We've had 30 straight months of economic job growth, and you know, that's why the people of Ohio are feeling better. The economic recovery in Ohio is real.
23 million people out of work or underemployed in this country. Yes. We, in fact, are now facing a situation where, you know, we are going hat in hand to countries that have put us in the crosshairs of their attacks. Right. This is a real problem.
We've been going to China borrowing money long before President Barack Obama became president. And you talk about the deficit, the Paul Ryan budget that Mr. Romney says is a marvelous budget won't achieve balance until 30 years from now. Romney, Ryan aren't even fiscally responsible in their plans. All they want to do is to go back to the Bush policies, and that's what got us into this mess.
The debt just went up astronomically under this president. He's moving in the wrong direction.
All right, thank you both, Ted Strickland, Ken Blackwell. Appreciate the discussion.
Thank you.
The world is focusing on Iran's nuclear